What has a delicate aroma, a wonderful ability to pair with all manner of foods, and is loved in Japan? That's right, it's sake. This incredibly charming Japanese rice wine is quickly gaining popularity in the West as well. Now, the sake making process is as interesting as it is laborious. It begs the question, how is sake made, and does it ferment in the same way as wine or beer? To help demystify the fascinating art of sake brewing, let's explore it. Sourcing ingredients. As with making any great drink, sake production starts with sourcing the finest ingredients. This Japanese wine is made from water, rice, and important catalysts such as yeast and koji spores. But despite the minimal ingredient list, it isn't as simple and straightforward as it seems. Let's start with the essential ingredient, rice. The sake rice is quite different from our everyday cooking rice. To put it simply, the virtue of this rice lies in a bigger white heart, with white starch as its center and the transparent protein and fat on the outside. The outside of the rice tends to slow down fermentation and bring in additional flavors during the sake production. That's why the sake manufacturers have to mill the rice down first. However, the milling rate isn't the best indicator of quality of the drink. Some sake producers believe that these extra flavors imparted by the outer layers of the rice are part of the unique characteristics of a specific sake winery. For example, they might choose to retain as much as 80% of the rice after milling. If you're wondering about the best sake rice varieties, Yamada Nishiki and Miyama Nishiki are some great options to consider. In fact, the producers can select several varieties and then cook the rice together to make up a complex and different recipe. Secondly, water is also an essential ingredient in sake production. It may not seem so significant, but water actually impacts the flavor profiles of sake because the minerals and chemicals present in the water will affect the activity of the microbes during the fermentation process. Therefore, each sake producer needs to choose its water source deliberately. As for the yeast and koji spores, they're used for fermentation and catalysts. The koji spores are dusted onto the rice in order to convert rice starches into sugar, which is then consumed by yeast to create the alcohol. Fun fact, when it comes to sake, the processes of converting rice starch into sugar and sugar into alcohol occur simultaneously. That isn't the case in winemaking or even beer making. After selecting the ingredients, it's time to move on to polishing the rice. Rice polishing. The rice will have to be polished to remove excess outer layers, which are unnecessary in sake brewing. Since the outer husk of the rice grain is made of lipids, proteins, and other nutrients, it can often introduce rough and unrefined flavors to the delicate beverage, which is obviously undesirable for many reasons. In fact, it can actually increase complexity of the process. That said, it's preferred to make sake from highly polished rice that tends to feature more charmingly flowery aromas and clean, refreshing flavors. Washing and soaking the rice. Now, the next step is highly important as it prepares the rice for further processing. A carefully measured amount of rice is first washed to remove any impurities, and then it's soaked in preparation for its steaming. Most large breweries in Japan measure, wash, and soak rice for brewing by various machine processes. But some manufacturers may choose to use traditional rice washing bags and tubs to achieve the perfect pre-steaming consistency. It's determined by the brew master, who checks the texture of the soaked rice using hands rather than a mere calculation of time. Steaming. After the rice has been polished, washed, and soaked, it is now in the perfect condition for steaming. For this purpose, it is loaded into a rice steamer. It's especially used for the production of small batch sake rice for some of the highest quality sakes out there. Although several large breweries rely on mechanized continuous steaming systems for steaming the rice nowadays, steaming is a critical step because it allows the rice to maintain its firm outer texture and soft center, which helps the brewing process later on. Rice cooling. Of course, after taking the rice out of a steamer, it will be extremely hot, which is why it must be cooled prior to being used in the other stages of sake production. Traditional methods of cooling include rice tossing and kneading to adjust and assess the temperature. However, large commercial sake breweries often use a refrigerated conveyor system to adjust the temperature of just steamed rice for a speedy process. Making the KOJI. Interestingly, the heart of sake making is actually KOJI making. It's a 48-hour process taking place in a specialized room known as a KOJI muro, where the operating temperature is typically kept between 30 to 32 degrees Celsius. The process involves the inoculation of rice with KOJI spores, where it's carefully kneaded until we obtain a very sweet and white KOJI. So first off, the steamed rice is spread out evenly over tables and then covered in cloth to achieve uniform temperature and moisture content. Next, KOJI spores are sprinkled all over the rice and kneaded until the KOJI mold has been distributed evenly. Then it's wrapped in a cloth until it has hardened into clumps, which have to be broken up to achieve uniform temperature and moisture. After some time, the finished KOJI rice is cooled outside the KOJI muro. Now we're ready to proceed with the most important process that actually makes sake what it is: an amazing alcoholic beverage, fermentation. The fermentation process of sake is different from wine and beer because it involves the conversion of rice starch into sugar and sugar into alcohol simultaneously. So, what are the steps for it? First, the batch of KOJI prepared in the last step is mixed with chilled spring water and yeast in a fermentation tank. Next, the steamed rice is added to the mixture. The tank is filled slowly in 3 stages over 4 days. But why is that, you may wonder? Well, this gradual filling allows the yeast to maintain its strength to keep consuming sugar. This way, it can continue to produce alcohol throughout the fermentation period, which usually lasts 21 days. Anyway, cooling jackets are used to keep the temperature within the fermentation tanks somewhere between 6 to 15 degrees Celsius, depending on the stage of fermentation. The brew is carefully mixed every day to ensure that the fermentation is consistent and even throughout. It's checked for specific gravity, acidity, and alcohol content to ensure the perfect taste. Now, before the next step, some sake producers may choose to add a small percentage of other alcohols in order to further refine the flavor. Added alcohol actually releases the lifted floral, vinous aromas in the drink, making it more pleasant to the palate. Interestingly enough, the sakes without any added alcohol tend to have an extra richer aroma as well as more pronounced savory, umami notes. These sakes are called junmai, and they're quite popular in Japan. After fermentation, it's time to press and rack the sake. Pressing and racking. Once the brew has reached completion, it is drained by gravity into cloth bags, which are placed in the traditional fune press. It's a traditional method of working with gravity and hand-applied mechanical pressure for drainage. On the other hand, a large commercial brewery may machine pump the brew into a large accordion-like hydraulic press known as yabuta. So now the first juice of sake will start to pour out from a spout at one end of the press under the natural weight of the filled bags. This results in a very light, fruity pressed sake known as arabashiri. Also, it depends on the manufacturer how they will filter the liquid. Many large commercial brewers choose to add activated charcoal to the pressed sake and then mechanically filter the batch, while the more conventional small brewers simply rack the pressed sake via siphon hoses. This creates a more natural tasting sake without any excessive filtration. Alright, so now we arrive to the final stage. The sake is just about ready to be stored, bottled, and shipped. Bottling. After the sake has been carefully pressed and racked, it may undergo certain final stages of processing before it's stored at the brewery. This includes a process known as oribiki, which is done to remove leftover sediment, dilution to achieve the desired level of alcohol by volume, pasteurization to stop the fermentation process, and lastly, carbon filtration to acquire the desired balance for each individual sake. Next, the sake is either bottled immediately or temporarily tank stored at close to 0 degrees Celsius until it is time to ship. A small brewery may carry out the bottling operation entirely without any pumps, using only gravity to fill the bottles slowly. Usually, the sake is stored in bottles that are colored dark brown to best protect the alcohol from harmful ultraviolet rays that damage the sake's flavor and spoil its appearance. The sake is now ready to be shelved in stores and in pantries. And that's all for today. Click on one of the two videos on your screen right now, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.